You hear the heavy door groan. Stone grinds on stone as the bar drops, sealing the chamber. The sound is final. You are in Ctesiphon, 5th century, the heart of the Sasanian Empire, and the sound of that bar is the beginning of the answer to why Persian princesses feared their wedding night. You do not fear the groom. You fear the silence that will follow. Inside, the air is suffocating, thick with lamp oil, heavy silks, and the scent of myrrh. Your title is more important than your name. You wait in this opulence. Your hands are cold. In your palm, you conceal a small, smooth amulet of turquoise. This stone is your only anchor. You know the man who will enter is likely your own blood, a brother, an uncle, a cousin. This is Khwedodah, the next of kin marriage practiced by the elite to keep the royal line pure and the land consolidated. But this sacred duty concealed a dark mechanism of control. What was the true purpose of this isolation? And what happened to the brides who were deemed unsuitable in the silence of that first night? The tapestries on the wall depict hunts and victories. They do not show this. This was not a marriage. It was an evaluation. But who exactly was the judge? We are venturing into a darkness others are afraid to see. Subscribe to walk this path with us. Hit the bell. Let it be your signal when we unseal the next forbidden chapter. And now, back to the story. The lock is sealed not with iron, but with wax, a priest's seal. The groom, her brother, is a shadow in the room, fulfilling a state duty. He is not the power. The power is the silence, the observation. The wedding night is a vigil, a cold assessment of her loyalty, her purity, her utility. Mourning does not bring release. It brings two figures, robed in gray, their faces shadowed. They are the magi, the keepers of the rites. They do not use her name. She is now simply the vessel. Her identity is the first thing taken. The silks and jewels are removed. She is dressed in plain, heavy linen. The cold stone floor bites at her bare feet as they lead her from the royal apartments. This is the descent. They march her not to the throne room, but down into the foundations of the palace. The air grows colder, smelling of dust and dried herbs. The torchlight barely reaches the ceilings. This is where policy becomes theology. Her hand remains clenched. The turquoise amulet from the night before is still hidden, its smooth surface a small point of defiance. She does not look at the priests. She looks at the walls, at the carvings of ancient laws, her mind tracing the lines, memorizing the path. Her resistance is silence. Her weapon is memory. They pass a corridor lined with heavy wooden doors. Each is sealed with the same priestly wax. From behind one, she hears nothing. From behind another, the faint sound of weeping. What was happening behind those other doors? They stop at the last door. It opens onto a small, bare cell, dominated by a ritual basin. This is not a dungeon of chains. It is a chamber of spiritual alignment. One priest speaks, his voice like dry leaves. He offers her the mercy of the divine. She has been honored with the sacred duty of Khwedodah. Now she must accept the purification. She must renounce her past, her name, her personal thoughts. The price of her new status is simple. Everything she was. She must affirm the act, bless the union, and erase herself. But a vessel that refuses to be filled is a threat. The gray-robed magi stands before the empty basin. His voice is flat, devoid of emotion. The condition is stated openly. You have been joined to the divine blood. This is the honor. Now you must become a vessel for it. You will renounce the smallness of your past. You will affirm the right. You will be purified of all private loyalties. He gestures to the basin. Speak the words. Accept the blessing. Your life as a daughter of the King of Kings depends on it. This is the why. The wedding was the mechanism, but this is the purpose. The Sasanian state was built on a fragile, sacred ideology. Khwedodah was not just about consolidating land. It was a constant, living proof of the elite's separation from the rest of humanity, their divine right. A princess was a political asset, but her belief was a state security issue. The fear was not of the wedding night itself. The fear was of this room. The fear was failing the test that came after. The priest holds out his hand, waiting for her to drop the turquoise amulet, her last tie to a self, into the basin. She looks at the stone in her palm, then at the priest. Her voice is a shard of ice. The stone is not the impurity. It is the only word she speaks. The soft pressure begins. The priest reasons with her. He speaks of duty, of the sacred fire, of the peril of non-belief. Her silence is his only answer. He leaves. The bar drops. The escalation is systematic. First, deprivation. The lamps are taken. The cell is plunged into a gray twilight, the only air coming from a high slot in the stone. The daily bread and water become a thin, sour gruel, then less. The opulence of the wedding chamber is a distant memory. There is only cold, stone, and hunger. They are trying to unmake her body, to break the mind within it. They thought isolation would break her. They did not know she was already alone. Days or weeks pass. The silence becomes absolute. The priests no longer come. The sounds from the corridor have stopped. There are no more whispers, no more weeping. There is only the damp. This is the final stage of the test. Erasure by silence. The void is intended to terrify, to make her claw at the door, begging for the mercy of compliance. But the Sasanian court had trained her for this, though they did not intend to. The endless hours of rigid ceremony, the iron discipline of posture, the demand for perfect silent composure, they meant this to be her harness. She inverts it. It becomes her armor. The cold, the hunger, the silence, they are just new forms of court etiquette. She sits upright against the stone wall. She does not weep. She does not call out. She grips the turquoise amulet. Her refusal is not a single act, but a continuous, unyielding state of being. She has given her answer. The institution has received it. The price for this refusal is now clear. It is not execution. That is too public, too fast. The price is to vanish, to be declared spiritually void. The system did not tolerate heresy within the bloodline. It isolated it, starved it, and then it cleansed the record. The priests had one final, merciful solution for the pure who refused. The sound of the bar is different. It's not the heavy drop of stone, but the dry scrape of wood. The door opens. She is weak, her limbs stiff from the cold, but her gaze is sharp. The gray-robed Magi stands in the opening, flanked by 2 guards. This is the end of the test. She has failed. They do not take her up toward the air and the light. They lead her further down. The passage is narrower here, the stone rough-hewn, smelling of damp earth and saltpeter. They are deep in the foundations, below the archives, below the treasuries. They stop at a low archway, its lintel carved from dark, iron-veined basalt, and she sees it. Scratched into the stone of the doorframe, almost invisible in the torchlight, is a small, rough circle. Inside it, another. A simple, stylized eye. It is the exact shape she has felt in her palm for weeks. the shape of her turquoise amulet. She looks at the Magi. He is watching her. He saw her recognize it. This is not a warning. It is a signpost, a hidden record left by those who walked this path before her. As the guards push her forward, she lifts her hand. For a fraction of a second, her fingers press the cold turquoise amulet directly onto the cold, carved eye in the stone. It is a wordless rite, a transfer of knowledge. I see you. I was here. This act is not recorded in any official chronicle, but excavations at Sasanian religious sites, like the fire temple at Takhte Soliman, unearth foundations layered upon foundations. They reveal ritual chambers, purification basins, and sealed repositories deep underground. These were places where the sacred and the administrative met, where divine purity was processed like grain. But what were these hidden repositories truly holding? The room beyond the arch is not a tomb. It is an office. It is dry, cold, and organized. By the light of a single oil lamp, a scribe sits at a low desk. He is not a priest. He is an administrator. The walls are lined with deep, narrow shelves. They do not hold scrolls of prophecy. They hold rows of small clay tablets and wooden tags, each marked with wax seals. The hidden truth was not a mystery. It was a procedure. The Magi gestures. The scribe takes a fresh tablet. He does not ask for her name. He already has it, along with her lineage, her dowry, and the date of her marriage. This was the why. This was the true purpose of the test. The princesses who refused, who showed too much self, too much attachment to the world, too much resistance, were not simply executed. They were nullified. They were declared spiritually void. Their names were struck from the genealogical lists. Their dowries and lands were reassigned. The Khwedodah was retroactively dissolved, not as a failed marriage, but as an error in the ledger. They were administratively erased, as if they had never been born. The fear of the wedding night was the fear of this room, the fear of becoming a clay tablet on a dark shelf. The mercy was that no one would ever know she had defied the state. She would simply be missing. The system required a perfect, silent erasure. But the stone remembers. The scribe does not use ink. He presses a stylus into a small, damp clay tablet. The tablet is fired in a low kiln, turning her non-existence into a permanent, baked record. It is filed on a dark shelf, identical to hundreds of others. The Magi nods, a simple administrative gesture. The princess is taken from the scribe's office to another, simpler cell. This one is final. The door is sealed not with wax, but with a heavy wooden bar. Above, in the world of light, the true erasure begins. It is an act of omission, not violence. In the grand scrolls of the royal genealogy, the ink is simply withheld. A space is left blank where her name should be. When the court historian next copies the scroll, that blank space will close, as if the thread of her life never existed. Her dowry is absorbed back into the treasury, her lands reassigned. Her apartments are given to a distant cousin. Her existence is now a logistical error that has been corrected. The system removes her perfectly. The only ghosts are whispers, not proofs. A handmaiden years later speaks of a cold room and a bride who was unfit. A guard, drunk on sour wine in a tavern, mentions the basalt doorframe deep beneath the palace and the women who walked past it but never returned. A merchant in a distant city sends a confused letter, noting that a promised trade marriage is no longer viable, the bride, unavailable. These are not testimony. They are smoke in a cold wind. The fear of the wedding night was never about the night at all. We return to the first sound. The heavy door groans. Stone grinds on stone as the bar drops. We see it clearly now. It was not the sound of a bridal chamber being sealed for a groom. It was the sound of the archive door closing, the sound of a life being filed away, the sound of the void being made official. The grinding of the stone was the sound of a name being polished from history, leaving the surface smooth, cold, and empty. Like the turquoise amulet now buried with her deep in the silent earth. Subscribe, hit the bell, and like. How many names can one stone wall hold?